not even need Bauer's game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today I'm very excited to check out Sports Dice Football from FunWiz. This is for 2 players, age 7+. It'll take about 15 minutes to play. And in Sports Dice Football, this is a very simple dice rolling game where you're going to be playing a head-to-head game of football full of sacks, pick sixes, touchdowns, field goals, all the stuff you know and love from American rules football. It's a light, simple dice game. This is actually the second game in the series. Last year there was Sports Dice Baseball, which I really enjoyed. Do I enjoy Sports Dice Football, though? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Then we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Sports Dice Football. So first and foremost, we have a handy-dandy rule booklet. You're going to need the first 5-6 pages. They're double-sided, full color, full of plenty of pictures, illustrations, examples, and overall, very well done. Should have you up and running pretty smoothly. There are some times you're going to have to revisit it, especially when it comes to like kicking field goals and different stuff like that. But overall, well done rule booklet. So in Sports Dice Football, what you're going to do is you're going to be trying to be either the red team or the blue team and be the first team to get to 21 points. If you can be the first team to get to 21 points, you will win the game. You're going to get to 21 points by playing a game of football, aka rolling these dice right here on both offense and defense. But let's go over the components, then let's get into the gameplay. So first we got the main board right here. You got the score tracker over here. You got red and blue to keep track of the score. You got a dot here on the 25 and a dot over here on the 25. And every time someone scores, you'll be starting on the 25. You also have the 50-yard line right here, which is going to be relevant for getting a first down and also for getting field goal range, which I'll show you a little bit later. Over on the side, you're going to have 4 downs to do what you want to accomplish. And on the 4th down, you can decide to either go for it, punt it, or kick a field goal. And we'll talk more about that later. But the star of the show, without a doubt, are going to be the dice right here. And the dice are going to have a couple different symbols on them, and there's 2 different dice in the game. There's the defense dice, and there's the offense dice. So let's talk about the different symbols that you will see on the defense dice. So first you got an S, that represents sack, which means you knock the offense back 10 yards. We have NG, which shows a whole bunch of this. This means no gain, aka they don't move any yards. Turnover, which means the ball stays where it is, but you go on offense and the other team goes on defense. And of course, P6, which is a pick 6, which means you score a touchdown despite the fact you are on defense. On the offensive side of the ball, we got the TD, which you know what that is. That's a touchdown, 20-yard gain, 10-yard game, and a field goal, which you can kick if you are inside the 50-yard line, which is why that 50-yard line is crucial. It's kind of got NFL blitz style rules where the 50-yard line is also how you're going to get a first down. But let's go ahead and show you how the gameplay works. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to flip the coin to see who goes first. Blue would then get to decide whether or not they're going to be on offense or whether or not they're going to be on defense. And whoever starts on defense will get the tiebreaker chip. So let's just say that blue is on offense and red is on defense. So red would get the tiebreaker chip right there. They start off with the 6 helmet dice, and then we have the 6 blue dice, 6 football dice, I should say, and we both roll at the same time, and we see who has the most of a symbol. So right now, we have 3 touchdowns for the offense, which is great, and we have 3 pick sixes for the defense, which is great. So when a tie comes up, it comes to the power chip, aka the tiebreaker chip. So right now, the person with the tiebreaker chip who on defense has a choice. They can either hold on to the chip and let the offense do whatever their thing is, which in this case would be a touchdown, scoring 7 points, or they can give the other team the tiebreaker chip and do what's on theirs, which in this case would be a pick 6. The obvious choice here, of course, is to give them the tiebreaker token and bam, get yourself the 7 points and get the touchdown. It's kind of a no-brainer. So anywho, they scored 7 points. Nothing really changes except now we repeat first down again and blue has the tiebreaker. So let's go ahead and roll it up again and see what happens. So right now we have 5 10s, so that obviously is just going to be a 10-yard gain. Go to second down, roll them up again. Let's see what happens. Ooh, we got a lot of 10s once again. We have 5 10s right here. We have 4 NGs for no gain. So once again, 5 10 yards, and we're on to third down. Let's roll it up again. And we got 4 10s. Is that going to be enough? Ooh, so now we have ourselves an interesting decision. There's 4 no gains and 4 10s. So the choice is, do we want to give up the tiebreaker token in order to advance the 10 yards? And you know what? We would probably do it this time. So we'll go 5 10. And once again, bam, we have ourselves a first down. So now that we are within the 50-yard line, if we get enough of the FGs and we have the majority of FGs, we can score a field goal, which means we'll get 3 points. Eventually what will happen, though, is you'll get to 4th down. When you get to 4th down, you have a couple different choices that you can make. The first one is that you can punt. If you're going to punt, you're just going to look at that and you're going to see how many yards you would go. This would actually be a terrible punt because we would only punt 20 yards. The other option you can do is you can go for it, which just means to roll the dice and see if you can somehow manage to get a touchdown. Last thing you can do is you can say, I'm going to kick a field goal, which works very similar. You are trying to get at least enough yards so that you can get all the way to the goalpost. So in this particular instance, since we are on the 45-yard line, you'd have to kick it 45 yards plus the 10. You would have to get 55 yards, which actually, bam, we would have just kicked ourselves a 55-yard field goal, which would be great. So blue would get 3 points right there. Then red would get the ball, and you would rinse, wash, and repeat until someone reaches 21 points, at which point they will be the winner of Sports Dice Football. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Alright then, Sports Dice Football from FunWiz. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. 2 players, very restricted player count. Also, this is a very light, simple dice rolling game. It takes about 15 minutes, and if you're hoping for more meat on the bones, this one will not be for you. Also, if you don't like football, this is not going to be for you because it actually does recreate the feel of football. The choices you're making in this game are all very football-y. The mechanisms in the game are all very football-y, which will be a turnoff to some people. One of the biggest cons that I think a lot of people are going to have in this game is the fact that it is not 100% luck-based, but it's very, very heavily luck-based. I mean, realistically, you could win this game in 3 turns. You get a touchdown, you get 2 pick sixes, boom, game's over after 3 rolls of the dice. Now, it's highly improbable that would happen, but it definitely could happen, which, you know, is going to be a turnoff to some people. Another comment I have of this game is there's like 1 or 2 rules in here where you will go after the rule booklet, have to go back to the rule booklet and be like, wait, how did that rule go? Because they're not going to happen terribly often, so when they do happen, you will have to go back to the rule booklet, which is kind of annoying. It's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but it is something that I did want to mention. Any other cons that I have with it? Not really. You have to know that this is very light, very simple, very luck-driven, and American rules football. But if none of that scares you off, I think Sports Dice Football is great. This is a game that's going to be in my shelf for a very long time. I really enjoyed Sports Dice Baseball, and I think I like Sports Dice Football even better. And there's a lot of reasons why I like it. First and foremost, easy to learn, easy to teach. Aside from those little fidgety rules that I talked about, this is the kind of game where you can have it up and running in probably about 2 to 3 minutes, especially if someone is familiar with the rules of football. It's a great gateway style game. It's a great family game. It's a great sitting in a restaurant or a bar type of game and just rolling the dice and kind of seeing what happens. But at the same time, I really like the choices that you get to make in the game because all the choices are very football-y. Do I punt it? Do I go for the field goal? Do I use my tiebreaker token? And the tiebreaker token is really what sets, you know, the Sports Dice series apart because that tiebreaker token, those are big choices you're going to make throughout the game. It's like sometimes you'll have the obvious choice of do I want to pick 6 or do I want a 10-yard gain? And it's like, well, yeah, I'm going to take the pick 6, but sometimes it's like, man, I really need to think this over. He's going to be 5 yards from getting the first down. Is he going to be able to go for it on a 4th down? It really kind of puts you in that football coach kind of mood where it's like, what do I think he's going to do? What do I think I'm going to do? And I liked how that worked a lot. I'm not trying to oversell here because obviously it's an incredibly light, simple game, but in the end, Sports Dice Football is a game that's going to be on my shelf as long as I have a shelf. Now, I do want to put a caveat on this because I absolutely adore football. I'm a huge football fan. I grew up playing football and watching football. I have season tickets to the Denver Broncos. I go to football games every year. I watch it religiously, and so I have very high expectations for a football game. But at the same time, I feel like that's kind of a moot point because when I'm really disappointed in a football game, I will let you know, but I was not disappointed in Sports Dice Football. I enjoyed it. I'm going to be keeping it. I thought it was a great, short little family/filler weight football game that I could recommend to anybody who's in the market for a lighter weight football dice game. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know what is your favorite. Actually, let me know. What was your favorite football game of all time if you are a football fan? For me personally, that's a hard one. I can think of my least favorite football game of all time right off the top of my head. That one's an easy one. But my favorite football game of all time. I want to say the first time John Elway won a Super Bowl when I was like 11 years old. That was just such a magical moment. And so I will. I'm going to go with the first Super Bowl that John Elway won. But at the same time, man, Peyton Manning. Because here's the thing. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is smack dab Colts country. So I grew up watching Peyton Manning. Because as I said, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan. But I'm the kind of person who will sit there and I will watch any game that's on TV. And Peyton Manning was always on TV. And I just garnished this huge respect / man crush on Peyton Manning. Because of how hard he worked and how meticulous and methodical he was. And when he went to the Denver Broncos, like, oh my God, Peyton Manning on the Denver Broncos. You know what? I kind of want to go with Peyton Manning's Super Bowl over John Elway's first Super Bowl, but here, I don't know, because it's really hard, because that Peyton Manning, man, that was a Disney story right there. He came back from the dead, week 17, and we were done, and he led the comeback against the Chargers, and then he had this improbable run in the playoffs, but man, John Elway finally breaking the curse, getting the monkey off his back. Like, people don't realize that if John Elway would not have won those 2 Super Bowls, he would have been a huge bust. He would have went to like 5 Super Bowls and lost all 5 of them. He would have been like a Jim Kelly-esque figure instead of where he is now, which is like really rarefied air. Like, you can't talk about the top 10 quarterbacks without mentioning his name because he won those 2 Super Bowls. If you couldn't tell, I could talk football with you all day. But there you go. I'm going to go with those. It's a 2-way tie between John Elway's first Super Bowl and Peyton Manning's last game of his career against the Panthers, where they won the Super Bowl. Both of them were amazing moments where I was just ridiculously happy. This was a game review. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. What was your favorite football game of all time? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.